There you go. Thanks, Rob.
Don't get nervous.
Don't worry, I'm younger than him. It's fine. It's all good.
Don't say anything incriminating, but a lot of people want it because they're on vacation. Their kids, so they can use your phone. Right.
Spring break.
All right, hold on a minute. I want to get you on the screen. There we go. Okay, there's a lot of people on Zoom today.
Hey, everyone.
By the way, I think this is a great topic. It's great. Yes, it is. I'm very excited about it. I heard about it. This is good. Rob, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Yeah, sure. All right, so let's take a time machine back to the previous shift. I know we don't want to go there, PTSD for some of us, right? But obviously our current market is not the same as it was then. Can we talk just for, let's take a few minutes and just kind of talk about maybe each of you give like one major point that you see what is different between now versus then for those of us who may have not been there.
Same market, just 180-degree difference, where we're basically, it was, again, today, we want the sellers, we want the listings. Rewind during the shift, it was when somebody called you to sell their house, you're like, oh, another listing, like, really, I need another listing. You had a buyer, it was as good as a check in hand. You had 18 months worth of housing supply, and it was just, again, it was a complete polar opposite. You never thought that you were going to go from yin to yang. And in my career, I never thought it was ever going to be like this.
Then or now?
Just that you could go from such an extreme from, again, just over a year worth of supply. And it was so crazy. So, I mean, it's just a flip flop of where the market's at.
What was the question again?
Just one kind of observation, right?
Differences between now and then?
Yes, what makes this, even though we are in a shift, we are in a shift,
Yeah.
what makes this different than before? Because just the narrative that we hear a lot is that's what we're headed back to, right? And
Like
that's the media
2008,
talk.
are we
Yeah,
talking
yes,
about
yes,
2008?
08 and
Okay,
09,
right.
yes.
And really, if you really study the market, in Michigan, it was about second quarter 2005. If
Yeah.
you're tracking the numbers, and that's one thing you should take away, to know the numbers, be a student of the numbers in real estate. So we saw the numbers just wasn't tracking in that same line. But anyway, so the difference is back then we had lots of different reasons, most of them economics of why we were getting into that situation. We don't necessarily see that now. There's so many things that are much different. It's certainly shifting. Highly doubt it'll be anything like it was before. A lot of the same tactics that we need to use are similar. But the economy is in just a much different situation. And hopefully what we saw in the Great Recession, whatever you want to call it, will be hopefully once in our lifetime. There's always going to be ups and downs in the market, in those cycles. So I think we're still trying to figure out where we're going in this, because Gary's been talking on stage for 4 years now that winter is coming. And statistically, it was. I mean, it should have been, but so many things that happen in our world, pandemic to be one of them, definitely changed those things. So we're in almost uncharted territory of where we're going. Yet the tactics that we need to use will determine how successful we are. There's anytime in a down market, there's always opportunity.
Okay, so I'm gonna come at this from a different perspective from the market that I work. So what I saw back then, which we're not seeing right now, is there was a lot of mortgage fraud going on back then. I witnessed it a lot, worked in the Dearborn market. And back then, and Lloyd probably, can attest to that. So I saw a lot of stuff where people were, creating straw buyers, and, you could see they were approving people, there were subprime loans, and you could see that people that should never have been approved, getting mortgages, and then in the few years to come, fast forward, not even maybe 3, 4, 5 years, these people couldn't even afford these houses. So everybody was pouring in the office, and and they're crying tears, I can't keep my house, I don't know what to do. So for me, what I did is I started, by getting my short sale certification, so I was able to sell short sales at that time. And I was working foreclosures, so I was working very hard, as an agent and barely making anything. I can tell you, my worst year ever, I don't remember what year it was, but I sold 40 houses and made 40,000. It was 1,000 each for each foreclosure, but it was a nightmare. I probably typed, maybe 5, 6 offers a day, and not everything was getting accepted. It was very hard. It was the Fannie Mae, it was the HUD, you had nobody to talk to back then. Nobody, you're putting in your offer and good luck, and you get an email. That's it. Your offer is not accepted. So you're back at it again. It was the numbers. It was very hard to survive at that time. And you just had to really work very, very, very hard.
I tried to get you out of that market.
I know you did. You did, but.
Linda and I worked together back in Dearborn, and then in
Yeah.
2005, I managed the Coldwell Banker office
Yeah.
in Northville.
And then but a few years later, I got shut, okay?
That is so true, and there was, no matter what market, there was
Yeah.
always those short sales and foreclosures.
Yeah,
But there was also other regular transactions too that. paid
Yeah.
more. But certainly less than what it was paying.
right. So that's what I experienced, and it was a long road, getting out of that back then, because all the houses I showed, it had mold, they were health hazards, it was terrible. Holes in the floor, animals, water faucets that were left on, it was so bad, everybody destroyed those houses so bad. To get out of that market, it was like a breath of fresh air. When you were able to sell an actual homeowner's house again. So that's what I experienced. So now the difference that I see, everything is under control. We're not seeing this, with the lenders like we saw before. Back then, what I saw in the market, when I saw that all, tumbling down, it's like the job market seemed to go hand in hand with the foreclosures. So as long as the people have, jobs and are making money, and they still have money in investments, which I think real estate, my perspective, is very, very strong right now. It is probably one of your safest places to invest your money. So I'm not seeing that we're going to go that way. I still see that even if we hit a bump, we're still going up. That's my opinion. That's my opinion of what I'm seeing. I invested myself in a property that I'm going to Airbnb out on the lake. So I'm, I feel good about it right now. And right now, I just say, for me, I'm working hard. I'm working my database. I only have 750 people in my database, and I work those people hard. Okay. I am in constant contact with everybody. And if you're invited to my party, my chili cook-off, you better be selling real estate and referring people if you're coming to my house for my parties, because I have a tight grip on my people and the referrals. That's why I get all the referrals, is because I'm constantly in their face. But the other thing,
How many transactions last year?
only 80 something, not last year, 82 or 84, but the year before was like 100 and something. But remember, I had a death in the family, so I kind of went a little backwards
So
last
typically
year.
you're in 100 transactions. So,
Typically 100. I expect to do 100.
so a key takeaway, I think, for a lot of newer agents, especially
Mhm.
700 and something people in your database, 100 transactions.
Let's talk about your database first. Because I think so often than not, we kind of get distracted by all this
Yeah.
tiny objects. And
Yeah.
we're like, Margaret, we need to do this, we need to do that. Jeff, let's talk about your database for a second. Are you more honed in? Like, are all of you guys more honed in on your database? Like, is that we're gonna protect this? What are you doing what are you doing to protect it?
So I've talked about this book before. It's called The Pumpkin Plan. And it is such a fantastic book. If you haven't read it, get it. If you read it, read it again. And just to comment off of, there's not to go off too deep, but there's a great new app that I got about a month ago called Blinkist, Blinkist. And what it is that it's a summary of thousands of books in 15 to 30 minutes. And I will tell you, it's incredible. However, the whole book is great, and I'll talk about mindset later. But back to the database. During the stay-at-home, that was the first time I read Pumpkin Plan. And in short, it's basically, we all have a core that's our biggest advocates. I mean, I have 1,100 past clients. It's impossible for any human to have 1,100 meaningful, solid, incredible, relationships. So what I did was basically look at, it was just a number I pulled, was my top 150, and basically going through saying, all right, who has referred me someone ever? Last week was my 23rd year in the business, and I just went through as deep as I could go where and basically that was my core group of people that I want to make sure that I'm making a little bit more of a better connection and tightness with. Yeah. And so one thing I've been putting together, and as soon as I was asked to be on this, I'm like, all right, what is something that I can do to really reconnect with everybody in my database? And I have thousands of people in my database, but really back to even past clients in my sphere, is I've been putting together a video that I'm going to be sending out, and I'm 95% there. And the whole thing is this: we're not trying to sell anything. People want to work with us because we offer value. And so the thing is, what can we ever do that can provide value? Just don't spam people, send them, what can we do to offer value? So over the past 6 months, in addition to neighborhood market updates that I've been sending out to people, there's a software that I use that basically sends out a monthly valuation of their house, more than just saying this is what is happening in your neighborhood. It's a value report, shows approximate equity that they have in it. If they were to refi, if they were to do it, and the feedback has been off the charts, incredible with that. So literally, like a week ago, we finally got everyone in my past client database is now up to date with that. So my video I'm going to send out to people is going to be, have you found that report to be helpful? Out of the roughly 1,000 people that have this monthly report right now, I've only had 10 people unsubscribe. So clearly it's okay at this point. And so I want their feedback. And so I want to ask, how's that? Do you find the neighborhood market updates informative? I also want to know, what else can I possibly do to offer value to you as being a past client? I'm all ears, no pun intended, on what can I do to offer the most amount of value. Off of the other thing too is, again, who's somebody that you trust and refer that you would want to use as a service provider? Who can I work with that we can share with other clientele as well? And again, this is all condensed in under 60 seconds because this is not a short movie that I'm sending to people. In addition, there's a link to saying, hey, listen, more likely we're already connected on social media. However, if we're not, I think you would find it extremely informative if you follow my One Day Solo business page, my One Day Solo Facebook, my TikTok, yada, yada, yada. Here's one link that will take you to everything. Please, I would love to connect with you and get your feedback. Am I providing value? And that's the biggest thing I'm hammering away in this script that I'm working on, is just, I'm taking 5 minutes and trying to put this down into under 60 seconds. Is just, I'm hammering away with how much more value can I possibly deliver to you as a passive client. So that's in a nutshell what I'm doing. And then at the very end of it, I'm asking, and it's the last link, it's the last item in the email itself, is, by the way, more likely you completed a review for me sometime over the past. However, if you haven't, I would love to get a new updated. I'm trying to build my Google business page and would greatly appreciate any kind of feedback you can put on there as a review. So hopefully, after providing all the value upfront in advance, law of reciprocity, hopefully they will be more than willing to take 10 seconds and complete a short review for me.
So a big, thing that we saw, remember, pandemic hit, interest rates dropped next to nothing. And now they've gone up, and that is contributing to the inventory issue that we have, because people are having a hard time trading 2 or 3% for 7%. So when you guys are doing your prospecting, your marketing, you're talking to prospective clients, what kind of conversations are you having around this?
So that's a similarity from before. Different situation, but the end result was the same. So the importance, because if people have a majority of the homeowners across America, you might know the statistic is under, 4%, 5% is majority, right? So not everyone's going to see the opportunity like, hey, let's go buy a new house at 6.5% or whatever it is. So you need to find them motivated, which is a similarity from when the market was down. No one wants to cut a $30,000 check to sell their house, let alone buy another one. But there's people that are motivated. So
Let me pause you right there. So what he's saying is, in the previous shift, people would come to the closing table. We saw this a lot with checks, 30,000 if they were lucky, upwards of that. So if you weren't familiar with that market, that's what happened then. So
Yeah.
now, so go ahead.
right, I mean, there are tears at closing. Our clients are crying, our agents are crying. I mean, it was difficult, but we had scripts and dialogues to help them through that, because yes, they're selling and they're having to cut a check to get out of their house, but if they're buying, they're still buying at the low market. No matter what the market is, there's scripts and dialogues to help them through this process. But anyway, so the similarity though is you need to find them motivated, because not everyone's as motivated when interest rates are where they are today, which is still below average. We have to keep perspective, okay? But there's people that are getting married, having kids, getting divorced, getting transferred. There's still people that need to make a move. So that's really what we need to be finding out, who are the motivators.
I think we need to think about what I just said for a second, writing a check.
Yeah.
At the closing table to get out of a house. Whereas now you can actually move into a house and at least you're starting a new adventure, you're starting a new life, like the conversation, it's hard, it's easy for us to get down on ourselves in this market and be negative about it. But it's still a positive experience for the client, right? We just have to find a motivator.
Right.
It's not a negative experience
No.
like it was back then.
There is, in a down market, that's where we're headed to, and we are, the numbers are going down. There's a ton of opportunities, and there's still people that need your help to walk you through that process, and they can be great transactions. So the opportunities abound. Don't be afraid of it. Learn what you need to do, learn the skills you need to have, take advantage of it and grow. So from my perspective, I've been doing this since '93. Crazy, sounds crazy to say. Anyway, so half of it has been managing offices, productivity coach, things like that. So I started managing this office in 2005. I just got married. 2005, it was April 1st. I remember the date. So I had a wonderful opportunity to manage the Coldwell Banker office, Schweitzer it was called, in Northville. And for those people that don't know, that was the epicenter of where Keller Williams started. So like 2 years before that, year and a half before that, half the office left, created this amazing organization here now, yeah. And so it was once a very strong office, and then production overnight went to half. So I had an opportunity to build it. I was excited to. And then the market starts to shift. I got married. It's like, what are we going to do? So it's working with other agents, it's being in coaching and training, figuring out, okay, what do we need to do? The market is going down. The market doesn't dictate what we do as individuals. It was tough. Again, there's coaching sessions, agents are crying, I'm crying, but the reality is there's still people out there that need our help. So we have to find the motivated. We got to figure out the math. Okay, if the market's going down this much, if I want to do, my goals are here, what do I need to do? So sometimes it is making more calls, making more contacts. Also, on the flip side, being better skilled. What do I need to say? So Jeff had a different perspective because he was an agent. So running an office, yes, having a buyer is great, but those buyers still need to buy something, right? So it's still having having listings as long as they're priced right, which was the biggest challenge. That was very important. So there was an old saying, it's been a long time since I heard it. It's better to be the first child, the second wife, and the third realtor. So, because many times, the sellers want to, I mean, we see it in every market. They sometimes list with an agent that tells them the highest price. Because they're like, hey, they're an agent. I'm sure they can get us that. And then they realize they don't. And then they list with another agent, and that doesn't work. So in that down market, it wasn't uncommon to be the third agent.
Yeah.
And now the sellers realize, what's going on in the market. They list it correctly, they price it correctly, and it sells.
Linda, I want to ask you about your mindset, because you said you were 40 houses for 40,000.
Yeah.
You were hustling.
She always hustles.
Yeah, she always hustles. She hustles. I don't understand how she hustles. But let's talk about, I mean, that's a lot of work for little reward.
Yeah.
And I think right now, a lot of us are feeling similar to like, we're working, but we're not getting the deal. We're not closing. And maybe we're not gonna make as money as we made in the last 2 years. And it's really hard because when it comes down to it, like, it is about the money.
Yeah.
What was your mindset? What are some of the things that you did to continue to stay positive? Like, I'm gonna get through this, because on the other end, I'm gonna be successful. Like, how did you keep yourself positive during that time?
How did I keep myself positive? I just worked. I knew that real estate was where I wanted to be, and I wasn't leaving real estate. I worked in the corporate world. I was in banking for 17 years. And so I came in the market when it was very good, so making lots of money, all of a sudden, it's dropping. My mindset was that I have to adapt. I have to adapt to the change. So that's when, I adapted to working with investors or whoever I could work with. That's when I got my short sales certification, and, to bounce off of Lloyd bringing the money, to the table. Now I'm working the short sales that are taking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months to process. So, maybe I have 5 of those in the hopper, the more short sales you could get in your hopper, then you were going to start to have income. So you're working the short sales, you're working the foreclosures. I just adapted because I knew that things are going to change. And you have to be very resilient in this business. You cannot sit and cry about last year, what it was. It's always eyes forward. And you have to be able to see those changes coming. You have to adapt. I'm going to add, like Tracy said, you know what? Become friends with your other agents. Play nice in the sandbox. You know what? Negotiate and work, very friendly, but you know what? Your client is first and foremost, who's important, but also, the other agent is, that's very important. That is key, and that's, I think, how I win a lot of bids, because you know what? I come prepared. And they know that I'm gonna, what I say is what I'm gonna deliver, and I have educated my buyer very well as to how this deal is gonna go down. And if you're not in, with the way that we're presenting the offer, you know what, then I would say, let's not even write, okay? Because it's very important, those relationships with our peer agents and the trust. And you have to stay at it. You're not going to become, this big agent overnight. It's working, it's years, it's years of staying, working with integrity and honesty and, just staying at it all the way through, because it will pay off. It will pay off in the end. And you know what? You don't ever want to ruin that reputation. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's
Only takes one transaction.
one transaction.
Or
Yes,
transaction.
one transaction. So,
What I'm hearing a lot is the market then, although drastically different, also very similar, right? A lot of the same challenges. So Jeff, can you talk for a few minutes on what are you currently doing now, that like daily habits in your business that we should all be doing?
I guess this is gonna be a segue into this, but I've had an affirmation pretty much that when we started really getting deep into when the rope started slipping, 2005. And just the affirmation that I had, and it's still to this very day, is life happens regardless. People are getting married, people are getting divorced, babies are being born, people are passing away, families are growing, and there's empty nests. People are getting hired, fired, promoted, demoted, transferred in, transferred out. And if I can be fortunate enough to be able to be part of X amount of transactions a year, I don't need the whole pie. I don't need the whole pie, just a sliver of that pie, and I'll live a life that I can only dream of. And that's been an affirmation I've had forever. And the thing is, life happens. It's just regardless. And so back to what Abby was saying, again, you can be the best agent in the world, but if people don't know what you do, what you don't do, I'm sorry. And David Knox, one of my favorite first trainers that I started following years ago, he's like, you don't have to be good, you just have to be there. Now, again, yes, you do have to be good at your profession, you do, but the reality is, on the flip side, you can be fantastic, but if nobody knows that you do what you do, guess what? You're out of business. So, yeah, you can't be a secret agent. And so, what I do every day is I really been protecting my mornings. And Scary preaches and everything is just, there's not many incoming phone calls or incoming emails that come in before noon that I'm picking up or responding to. And so what I'm trying to do every morning is just what's going to move the dial? What is going to be something that's actually going to generate business? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's plenty of busy work out there, but busy work doesn't always equal a paycheck. So it's just, I'm trying to do things that's ultimately going to move the sales dial forward. And it's just communication. And
That's a big skill. Okay, how many transactions?
Last year we were 75-ish.
Okay, so 75 transactions, and he's dedicating his morning to lead generation, not putting out the fires, not putting out what, if someone calls like, oh, do I gotta call him back, or working on that deal. Top agent focuses every morning on finding new business. That's a tough skill, because sometimes we get that calls like, oh, I'm trying to get this deal together. Right, but he understands that finding the new deal is just as important, if not more important than the one he's working on. Because the one he's working on now at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, he'll still be there. Right? That's a tough skill to learn, especially as a newer agent.
Yeah, it's just really knowing your database and really having a system. It can be any system out there, but just knowing, you have to have some kind of database. I don't care if it's a spreadsheet or you're using Command or using any CRM. The age-old question is, what's the best CRM? It's the one you use. And so it doesn't matter if it's a piece of paper. It's just knowing who and when do you need to be following up with that person and making sure that you never, ever fall off the radar. And so it's just making sure every morning I'm getting in front of people that need to be getting in front of. And it's been a hard move. And again, 23 years in the business, and knowing that 80% of my business has come from my database, yet sometimes it's very easy to be chasing that shiny 20%. And it's just the Pareto principle. 20% of your effort is going to yield you 80% of your results. So why in the hell are we putting 80% of our effort to try to get 20% of the remainder? And so it's just really taking a step back, doing that video I was talking about, and really just focusing in on just creating good content, creating good, stuff that's out there. And I've never put more time into creating good stuff on social media, creating videos, doing stuff that, I'm watching my people are following. And again, and more importantly, I'm starting to get, and it's been a slow process, but I'm starting to finally get it. And that's probably the biggest thing too, is just once you plant the seed with video and content that's out there, guess what? It's there. And, and if you're doing stuff that's relevant, that's you'd like to say kind of timeless, discussing what a home inspection is, discussing how to get pre-approved, getting good quality content that's short, sweet, to the point. Whether you're getting pre-approved now, next year, 10 years from now, I mean, realistically, the process is not, I mean, I can tell you, not much has changed in 23 years from start to finish, how you buy or sell. I mean, yes, a little bit of odds and ends and different things like that, but I'm just trying to do stuff that is working when I'm not necessarily working.
Like, similar question, daily habits, but let's take it just a little different angle. So if I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm running a team or attempting to run a team, wanting to run a team, how does that look like from leading a group of people versus if I'm doing it myself?
How
Does
does
that
it,
make sense?
I don't know.
How are you holding the team accountable to their daily habits?
Yeah.
What are the daily habits you're having them do?
It's based on what their goals are, right? So we meet with the team to figure out and determine typically end of the year, what do they want their business to look like the next year? What do they enjoy doing? What do they not want to do? And come up with a plan. So it's holding them accountable is just really reminding them of their goals.
Is there like a core activity
Oh, absolutely.
that they have to do?
Yeah, it's talking to people, and no matter what market we're in, it always comes down to that. In the hot market that we're coming out of, it was much easier because you didn't, I mean, let's be honest, you don't have to be a great salesperson, you just had to be there. I mean, there was fruit falling from the tree. Now we gotta work harder to get that fruit. And we can't outspend Zillow. All right, so it goes back to the database. And again, it depends on what you want your business to look like. There's all different ways of running a great business. It could be based off FSBOs, expireds, just list, just sold, open houses, all different ways. But one of the most enjoyable for me, at least, is our sphere. And there's all these studies done that it's easier to keep the client and find a new client. The same thing applies to real estate. So as Jeff mentioned, Linda mentioned, staying in contact all different ways. So we also host a lot of events, parties. We had a movie events, just little things like Valentine's Day giveaway, just reasons to call our database, stay in contact, provide some type of value, love on them, and it's going to come back. You're top of mind. But end of the day, it's the contact sport. How many people are you talking to on a daily basis? The more people you talk to on a daily basis, the more business you're going to get. It's definitely going to help if you know the right scripts and dialogues, right? There's that saying, the difference between a pro and an amateur, where an amateur practices enough to get it right, but a pro practices enough so they don't get it. Can't get it wrong. Thank you. Right? So typically a professional spends a ton of more time on the practice than in the game. And the same should apply to us. Are we practicing on the people that we're meeting with? Or are we practicing ahead of time with the people in this room, getting better every day? So when we go out there, we can't get it wrong. So being in contact with people, knowing what to say, how to say it, when to say it, will go a long way.
Linda, last question. This is more selfish reasons that I'm asking this, but one of the things that people ask me when they know that I know you, is they say, where does she get her energy from? So I kind of want to know for myself, because I'm usually dragging once it gets about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Where do you get your energy from?
Oh, I think I was born with that.
I'm doomed.
I do.
As a new agent, she was the same way.
Yeah. You know what? I think exercise thing, that's one thing, like I like to run 3 miles. I tell you, that really.
I'll be done.
Yeah. All together.
Get it wrong. Get it wrong.
Yeah. 3 miles. If I get that 3 miles in a day, I'm like, I
When do
feel
you
like
do that?
in the morning, early in
First
the morning.
thing.
Yeah, first thing. Oh, I feel so energized. But that's, and a positive mindset, reading positive books, keeping this positive, pulling the weeds out. When you're starting to feel down, that's a weed. Pull it out. You know what? Stay focused, stay positive. Positive things will happen. But to chime in on Lloyd over here, I carry my business cards around. I will attack anybody if I hear the word real estate, okay? And if they say they got a realtor, I say, that's fine. Why don't you just give me a chance at that interview? Give me a shot. Give me a shot. Like,
Business.
just was saying in the bar, okay, if I'm in the bar, you know what? I got those. My family knows I'm crazy, you
Like
know?
ninja.
I am. So, no, but I want a shot. I want a shot at that. And then, you know what? I'm not going to let those people down if they do give me a chance. You know, I'm gonna work very hard for them.
So she's learned the skills. She's not afraid to ask the question. She treats it like a business.
Yeah,
And you know, Jeff too, he's the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a job. He knows exactly what he needs to do. I mean, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but some people are like, oh, like real estate, be independent contract, do what I want. No. I mean, he knows exactly what he needs to get done. It's a business.
In transparency with you three specifically, since you're sitting there, a lot of times, I spend a lot of my time consulting with the agents. And what I hear sometimes is because I will refer to each one of your businesses for examples at different times. What I hear sometimes on the other side is, well, it's easier for them because. And I hope everyone's hearing, like, it's not easier. They're just focused on the right things and getting them done first and foremost before anything else.
Well, I think the question we all need to ask ourselves when we wake up every morning is what will move the dial? That should be your first question, like while you're on your way to the car, like, what am I gonna do today to move the dial forward? Not all the other little things that we get distracted by, because there's a lot of things. I get distracted myself. But what's that one thing? And it's the relationships, it's the contact, it's putting yourself out there. Unfortunately, sometimes it can be uncomfortable, guys, like we're in the sales business. But that's what's gonna get the results that you guys are looking for.
it's mindset. Work on your mindset all the time, because don't think I don't get down. Nobody's gonna know it. Nobody in the world will know it. You know, if I'm down in the dumps or feeling sad or something happened, nobody will know it. But the one thing I say to myself is, if I had a bad day or really bad transaction or something just was like, makes you want to quit the business, because it can get tough. You'll get punched in the stomach, punched in the teeth. You better be able to get back up fighting, because the next day is a new day. You have to just start again, back at it. You know what? That's in the past. Learn from that. Go forward. Always work on your mindset. Always.
And if you have a big enough why, big enough goals of what you're trying to do, that's going to help you through those difficult times.
Right.
And what moves the dial, which is great. Every morning, what do I need to do to make that even better? It should come from your 401. So if you have an annual goal, work with your coach, work with the coaches in here and creating, okay, what do I need to do? This is my annual goal. What do I need to do every month, every week, every day? So when you wake up, you know exactly what you need to do every day, and have faith in the process. As long as you're doing those activities, success will come. All right, because this organization isn't here, to see you fail. All right, they're not paying you to be here. Right, so the advice they're giving you is advice that help you grow your business as quickly as possible. So even though you don't get you make your calls, you don't get anything for that day or week, have faith in the process. Do the activities every single day. The business will follow.
So good news is that the second quarter is coming. And one thing with that being said, I got the homework assignment for everybody. And again, I can tell you everything. However, you got to do it. And so the thing I have on my calendar, and I do it every year, and this is a great time for everyone to do this in their business. It doesn't matter if you've been in the business for a week or you've been in it for 30 years, is doing a SWOT analysis. What's your strengths in your business? Find them, and if they're working, great. Keep on working on them. What can you do to grow and expand that? What's your weaknesses? What sucks? What are you not doing to crush it? What do you need to improve on? And if it's not working or you're not willing to, then get back to your strengths and continue to focus on that. Opportunities, there's opportunities in every single market, up, down, sideways, you call it, and just look for those opportunities of what you can explore, and then threats. There's always gonna be threats in this business. I've seen it for over 23 years. There were, again, your help you sells, your these so many different things that were out there. Again, oh, what about Zillow? What about Open Door? What about
The internet.
Yeah, so bottom line,
Am I aging myself?
yeah, and if you Google, a SWOT analysis worksheet, I mean, there's thousands of them out there. And it's just, I would really encourage everyone to really do a SWOT analysis on your business, and whatever's working, expand that. Back to the mindset, it sounds a great thing, and I'm a golfer, but there was a great thing, all right, if Tiger Woods wanted to meet me up for a round of golf and says, Jeff, here you go, here's my golf bag, here's my clubs, here's my shoes, here's my clothes, have at it. Am I gonna shoot like Tiger Woods? Hell no. Us up here, I guess where I'm going with this is that we don't have a magic pill. I mean, everyone can come and work in my office and sit at my desk and can have access to my CRM and can do everything. At the end of the day, it comes down to your mindset. And it's so important to really just keep that sharp focus. And back to the Blinkist, it's something where minimally, guys, we're in the car for 10 to 30 minutes a day. I'm telling you that Blinkist gives you books that are 15 to 30 minutes, and there's no shortage of mindset books that are out there. And you got to sometimes remap your brain and the way you look at things. And, one thing you may not know about me, I've ran a full marathon. I've ran 9 half marathons, and I ran over 24 5 and 10Ks out there. The biggest thing from a mindset perspective, that what I took from running that's helped me in my business is the first 5K I ever did, Super Bowl 5K in here in Novi, 10 years ago. The training I prepared to run 3.1 miles, that mind shift set of, I would die going downtown doing the turkey trot, the mile run every morning down to Detroit. I'm like, I'm gonna times 3 this. How the hell am I gonna run a 5K? And the thing is, you got to train yourself. You got to put time into, whether it's your business, whether it's efforts. And I think that I've actually ran 26.1 miles at one time is mind-blowing. But the thing is, taking that back to business, there's nothing that I know that I can't achieve or push my way through markets, ups, downs, left and rights. And it's all comes back to mindset. And again, we walk around with bulletproof Kevlar aura that's like, listen, trust me, I've been kicked in the teeth and punched below the belt more times in this business by past clients that have decided to go a different direction, my best friends that have decided to use other agents. And I mean, present day stuff. And let me tell you,
Chicken heads, yes.
and let me tell you, it is soul crushing. It is so hard. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter how many times you get punched. It's, do you get your ass back up and get back in the ring? And you got to do it. And it's a hard business. I mean, at the same time, there's nothing on this planet I'd rather be doing. And it's all, again, back to the why. What's my why? So if I help enough people get what they want to try to earn and achieve in the real estate market, then I can do what I want to do with who I want to do it, when I want to do it, wherever I want to do it. That's my why. And that's the fuel that puts on the tank. It's not about selling $33 million last year. And it's not a number. The paycheck can only push you so far. You got to find a why. And there's no Googling it. You got to really reflect it, and you read the book, what's your why? And when you do, it is a life-changing, and I was damn near 10 years in the business before I knew what my why was. So it's just not, you're gonna wake up tomorrow morning and say, good news. Now I have a different viewpoint in life. But one of my dear friends, past clients, asked me that question roughly 10 years ago. And let me tell you, it was not all smiles. I mean, you really, really got to dig deep into your soul. You really got to find what is it? And when you realize what it is, again, get to put back on that bulletproof vest and just realize, if I'm providing value and I do a good job of what I do, man, this can be just a killer sweet business.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there. And people are like, oh, it's hard, it's getting harder. It is. And the hard is what makes it great. Because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But the reality is, if you're willing to take the challenge, learn the skills, you can be very successful. A lot of top agents get excited when the market gets a little bit tougher because they get to use their skills. They couldn't use that before because it was going so fast. So don't be afraid of it, lean into it. And looking back at those days, so I met with a couple of the other managers late last year, and as difficult as it was, because at one point the market's going down 18% in 1 year. 1.5% a month. So we're looking at, okay, the comps, what did it sell for? Or actually, when did it go pending? And then if that went pending 4 months ago, well, 4 months times 1.5%. So we're telling the sellers, no, it's not here, even though it's sold there, you're here. All right, so those are different conversations, but as bad as it was, we still, because we were on like-minded people looking to excel, leaning into training, we actually grew that office to the #1 office in Metro Detroit and closed units during those difficult times. So these skills and systems work. And if you have people around you that can support you, that are in it with you, that can pick you up when you're feeling down, if you're putting positive things in your mind, turn off the news. The news will find you. You don't need to be watching it. Listen to good books, read good books, talk to people that are excited and energetic. You're going to come out of this, whatever this is, much better than you are today. There's opportunities, so don't be concerned about it.
All right, we're gonna end on that note. Thank you guys so much.
Don't watch the news, Lloyd.
We
don't watch the news.
People have the last, we got it going on here too. So, we appreciate you guys and thank you so much. That was probably what we all needed to do today. So, let's go ahead and I know we're kind of running a little bit late, but we're gonna have our vendors talk real quick. Brent, what you got?
Hey, just, and I guess I'll just piggyback off of what they were saying. The one thing that is so different, you talked about